Hi everybody, my name is Damiris and I'm going to present the paper Detecting Signs of Mental Disorders on Social Networks, a Systematic Literature Review. Well, this paper is a result of one of our researches and it has been done by our research group composed by Ayrton Herculano, Glauco Gomes, me, and Professor Alex Cunha. We are from Brazil and it's my great pleasure to present this paper. I am currently a titular professor at the Federal Institute of Paraíba, IFPB, Brazil. I am the coordinator of this project as well as other ones, and my research interests are concerned with the areas of data science, databases, machine learning, and semantic web. Okay, so today we are going to talk a little bit about data science, but we are going to focus on the use of social networks, which has increasingly gained more and more popularity. In this slide, feelings or opinions are continually published on these platforms. How? By means of text, photos, emoticons, videos, and other ones. But some of these posts may sometimes indicate a propensity to mental disorders such as depression, such as anxiety, and other ones. This is very important because today we know that we have a lot of mental disorders which have been studied and treated in any kinds of ways. So, users with mental disorders sometimes tend to present different online behaviors from other ones. What calls our attention? In this slide, we have defined our main research problem, which we are addressing in our research group, which is: in what ways could a data-driven computational solution help to identify feelings or opinions on social network users likely to indicate depression or the kind of mental disease? To this end, at first, we have defined that we would accomplish a systematic literature review to analyze the state of the art on identifying works which tries to identify signs of mental disorders on social networks profiles. Okay, so we have accomplished the systematic literature review and we have obtained some insights on different types of mental disorders on social networks, issues and aspects related to data preprocessing methods and labeling strategies used to build corpora, and also features important to deal with. At the end, we are going to provide some research challenges we have observed and we have got by means of the selected papers. To this end, we are going to divide our presentation into presenting our research methodology, then we are going to provide some results and discussion. We are going to compare our work with some related ones, and finally, we are going to provide some conclusions and further work. Talking about our research methodology, as we have already mentioned, we have used a systematic literature review to identify the state of the art. To this end, we have defined research questions, and along with these research questions, we have defined a search string to use. We have defined also libraries to search. And among the papers we have selected, we have read title and abstract in the first phase, then the introduction and conclusion, and finally the full paper. We have also defined some criteria to select our papers based on a Likert scale and based on some ranking criteria. Okay, so our research questions have been defined as the following ones. The first one is: what sentiment analysis strategies have been proposed or applied to detect signs of mental disorders on social media posts? The second one regards: which behavioral characteristics or features have been used most in discovering predecessors of mental disorders? The third one: which languages are most commonly used to build corpora? As the fourth one, we have defined: What data preprocessing strategies have been proposed or employed? Another question, what kind of techniques have been proposed used for post-training data labeling? What types of labels have commonly been used? And as research question 6, what evaluation metrics have been used to assess the quality of results? And finally, one of the most important, what challenges and gaps have been found? So, our search definition has been done by accommodating the string we would use to search and define our digital libraries to be used for our research. So, our string has been defined as the composition of sentiment analysis or text mine or emotion and social networks or social media or social posts and depression or depressive disorder or mental disorder. We have tried to include any kind of mental disorder. As libraries, we have used conventional and important international libraries, as well as some specific libraries from Brazil. As inclusion and exclusion criteria, we have provided as inclusion works that answer at least one of the research questions, also primary studies, and on the other hand, we have defined the exclusion criteria, studies without scientific relevance, secondary or tertiary works, and articles published before 2016. As a total of selected studies, we have obtained 19 selected ones, and at each one of the phases, we tried to select them based on the inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria. These 19 gathered publications are provided in this timeline, so we can have a look of the dates they have been published, and we can observe that most of them have been published recently, after 2019. Also, we can see that the most one discussed and studied mental disorder is really depression, but we have some works which have talked about and which have studied other kinds of mental disorders, such as stress, such as positive emotions, borderline personality disorders, bipolar disorder, and other ones. Trying to answer our research questions, the first one concerns sentiment analysis strategies. We have collected that the most used strategies concern really machine learning strategies such as supervised learning and unsupervised learning, but mainly supervised ones, and also some kinds of deep learning, and also some kinds of LDA or topic modeling strategies. Regarding behavioral characteristics of features, which is really important to our research, we have identified some of them. So, in the category of behavior, we have time of posts, engagement, interval between posts, frequency on the networks, insomnia index, number of publications. Regarding linguistics, we have observed the use of antidepressant drug names, depressive terms, first-person pronouns, syntactic features such as verb and adverb, and also we have identified social networks such as number of followers, number of reposts, comment tree, interaction with friends. Okay, another important issue regards language, but we have observed the main use of English as we already expected, and only few works using Portuguese language. On the other hand, data preprocessing strategies usually include the most used ones such as removal of stop words, tokenization, limbing, steaming, emojis and emoticons removed or turned into text, anonymization, and TF-IDF. As data labeling techniques, we have observed that the majority of the works still use manual labeling by experts, so few of them use self-reports, and a minority of the works tries to use automated or some kind of semi-automated labeling, and sometimes using the text blob technique. As evaluation metrics, we have observed the most used ones such as precision, recall, accuracy, F-measure, and AUC. Okay, one of the main important questions now, the challenges to be dealt with, we can observe that the need of lexicon dictionaries, especially for the Portuguese language, and also focusing on mental disorders, not in a general way. We have observed the need of training data labeling strategies, which are still very dependent on reports or on manual notes. We have observed the lack of studies specifically focusing on emotions, linguistic, and behavior associated with the time life of users' posts, and also the need of studies regarding resources such as images, emoticons, and emojis to detect signs of mental disorders. Comparing our work with other related ones, we can identify that we provide signs of mental disorders on social networks differently from other ones which has focused only on depressive mood disorders. We also try to include any kinds of methods and data preprocessing strategies. Also, we have a special interests on identifying features or characteristics, so we can think about a data set specific to use to train a model and associated with mental disorders on social networks. Furthermore, we have tried to identify data training labeling strategies, and also finally we try to provide some challenges in our research group. As conclusions, we can see that our systematic literary review presents insights on works concerned with posts on social media, which may indicate propensity for mental disorders. Some important points we have observed are: the most studied mental disorder is depression. English is the most used language, and there are few studies using Portuguese. Features such as emoticons, emojis, behavioral characteristics, and interaction between users can be further explored. And the training data labeling strategies are usually carried out manually. As for the work, we are going to develop a strategy that can enable more automated or semi-automated labeling of training data, specifically to deal with sentiment analysis focused on mental disorders. Also important point is the construction of a lexical dictionary in Portuguese, focused also in mental disorders, but particularly on depression disorder. This is our presentation. We thank you a lot for your attention, and we remain available for any further discussion. Thank you so much. Have a good day.